If you were to tell 18-year-old me that I'd be able to stand here for longer than 17 minutes without pain being in my way, I wouldn't believe you. I grew up around lots of change. I was born in San Marcos, Texas with my twin, Paulina, and we moved around a lot. We moved from Mexico to the US and back and forth throughout different periods of our lives, and within that time, my little sister Mac was born. Being the oldest of three was hard. I was a good kid though. I did well in school and did my best in everything. With that, I became a people pleaser and tried my best to ease the anxieties of the household. The only thing in my way was the growing aches and pains. It took years for me to finally say something about my pain. I didn't want to burden anyone. But when you finally tell your family that it hurts to stand, hug people, your skin feels like it's burning, and you're always feeling like you need to vomit, you're bound to get one of two responses. Take an Advil, you're fine, or do we really need to take you to the emergency room? Luckily, with the support of my parents, I was able to visit experts from Mexico and the US to better understand what might be the problem. I got prescribed countless medications, got diagnosed many different things, and even tried natural remedies. I changed my diet, tried way too many herbal teas, and practiced yoga for a while. The hardest part was the responses I would get. When I would tell doctors how I was feeling, I felt crazy. They would look to my parents for confirmation that what I was saying was the truth. No blood work, x-rays, or tests could validate what I was going through. And the more I tried to understand my pain, the worse it got. People would always ask me, do you hate school that much? Are you sure you're not just doing all of this for attention? Wait, so if I poke you, does it hurt more? I'm sorry, it's just hard to believe you're in that much pain. More change happened. We moved back to the US permanently in 2015 and had to reintegrate into American culture. This caused more anxiety than I had realized. My body was tense, it hurt more, and life got harder. I began to say no to activities, people, school, and life, all because I was in pain. In September of 2018, I landed in Kansas City's Children's Mercy Hospital. At the pain clinic, I was expecting the usual questions. Are you able to walk the length of a football field? Answer, no. Are you able to practice normal chores? Answer, not really. On a scale from 1 to 10, rate your levels of fatigue. I'm literally always sleeping. This was my 10th year of chronic pain, and these visits had become routine. I did get to answer some of those questions at the clinic, but what was different is that a psychologist came to visit me too. I got to answer new questions like, how do you feel about change? Answer, I'll deal with it. How do you express your emotions? How others feel is more important. I thought the doctor would come to the same conclusions other doctors had made. She's lying. My whole life I had been told by so many that my pain wasn't real, that I should probably stretch more, and that I should probably stop lying to my parents for attention. But this was different. The doctor looked to my mom and asked, "Ma'am, have you ever been chased by a tiger before?" This was different. I wasn't sure where he was going, but this was different. I felt seen, I felt heard, and I felt safe. I felt safe to explain that when people ask me about my ankle too much, it hurts more. And I felt safe to explain that sometimes my pain travels, and I don't know whether it's real or my imagination. Your daughter has amplified pain syndrome. What's that? He looked at me and said, basically, and to dumb it down, your body loves you so much that it protects you from any kind of impact you might be experiencing in the form of pain. This made sense. Your body is always in fight or flight mode, making you really tired. It's like you're being chased by a tiger. My whole life, I'd seen a couple of therapists before, but I never realized that my anxieties and worries might have something to do with how I was feeling physically. The doctor explained that there was hope, that summer I'd be able to return to Kansas City for a treatment designed to treat AMPS, the rehabilitation of amplified pain syndrome. It would challenge me in ways I could have never imagined, but it'd be my only way to fight the tiger. Summer came around and I was on my way to recovery. Let me give you a rundown of a typical day at RAPS, and it's a lot. 6:30 a.m., get ready. 8 a.m., pool. 9 a.m., walk 2 blocks to the gym. Make sure your strides are long and be quick. 9:10 a.m., physical therapy. 6 strenuous exercises. You had to beat your time every single day, and if you didn't, you had to try again and again and again and again until you did. 10 a.m., occupational therapy. Another set of strenuous exercises. Beat your time, and if you don't, well, try again. 11 a.m., therapy, emotional therapy. You could sit and relax. Oh, and cry. You cried almost every single day. It was noon, and you would go to lunch. You would get to sit with your friends, talk for a bit. Then at 1, an expert would come and talk to you about the conversations you would have related to AMPS when you made it back to the real world. This was really helpful. 1:30 p.m., occupational therapy again. Acupuncture mats, gardening, knitting. 2:30 p.m., physical therapy again. Running, walking, jogging, just dance battles, and basketball drills. 3:30 p.m., meditation. 4:30 p.m., you could finally leave. Now, this was just a typical day at RAPS. Some days you had art therapy, and some days you had music therapy. What you need to know is that it was a lot. Like, a lot. And funny enough, the hardest part wasn't keeping up with all of that. It was actually confronting my stubbornness. Prior to my diagnosis and treatment at RAPS, I was in this constant state of fighting the tiger. And I let it win. I surrendered to it. Not because I was tired, but because I was comfortable. I was comfortable with saying no to people, plans, experiences, and life, all because I was in pain. Now, I'm not saying I was comfortable with laying in bed all day due to the constant migraines, nausea, and throbbing legs, but I had already accepted that. I had accepted defeat to that. My plan was to lay in bed all day and watch life pass me by. And I wanted to get better, and I wanted to end that suffering for myself, but I didn't believe in myself enough to go and make that difference for myself. And now I'm being asked by family, therapists, friends to go and fight the tiger and win. And I didn't believe I could. Now, it is those same people that push me to believe that I could win and beat the tiger. And it is the experiences that I had at RAPS that impacted me so profoundly. And it is those lessons I hope to share with you today. So, here are 3 lessons that could potentially help you overcome any barrier you have, whether it's a physical disability or an emotional turbulence in your life. Number 1, you need to accept where you are. Number 2, you need to give yourself the chance. And number 3, you need your people. Number 1, you need to accept where you are. It was my 2nd week of RAPS, and the other 2 patients, Midori and Sammy, were progressing quickly, and I was not. It was a humbling experience. They seemed to be doing so much better. Their form was precise. They were making their times. And they were getting through it, even when it was hard. At lunch, they would encourage me and tell me that one day I would get it. I admired their growth. I admired their strength. I wanted to be them so bad. And I was discouraged at my own progress as compared to theirs. That week, I met my friend Sarah when she came in for a 6-month follow-up. She was happy and energetic. She told the doctors about her future and how she had joined the track team. She seemed to be doing so well. Meanwhile, I'm on the other side of the gym, literally dying at what's supposed to be a 45-second arm exercise, and I'm on minute 4. Luckily, my family met hers at the Ronald McDonald House where we were staying. We made plans to go watch a theater show that night, and afterwards, she asked me about my plans. I told her that I still had a 45-minute exercise to complete, as it was part of my treatment, and she told me she'd meet me. I thought I would work out and she would sit and watch, but instead, she wanted to join me. I told her to prepare for the worst. There was no way I was going to be able to keep up with a track athlete. Let's just get through it together, she said. It doesn't matter what it looks like as long as you do it. We all have to accept where we are. There is no choice. I needed to accept where I was. I needed to stop comparing myself to others. That was only going to invalidate my progress and demotivate me. We all have to start somewhere. Number 2, you have to give yourself the chance. Weeks 3 and 4 of therapy were brutal. There's literally no word I could use to describe it. My body was so tense from all the workouts that I had been doing that my arms tensed up like this. I couldn't extend them or move them. And I'd walk around like a T-Rex. That was my nickname in the gym, by the way. I couldn't complete any of the exercises. All of them felt impossible. I cried all day, every day. And so in one of my therapy sessions, I told my therapist, my body just can't do this. In that week, I wrote in my journal, I feel confused. I want to get better. I want a chance at getting better. And I want my arms to work. One of my favorite therapists, Dr. B, helped me with this lesson. She said that when you're working on yourself, it's not realistic to only focus on what's not working. Growth doesn't happen that way. But it's not realistic to lie to yourself either. When working on yourself, the duality can coexist, and that's okay. I put this mindset into practice in my journal when I wrote, I feel unenthusiastic, and still, I'm going to give myself the chance and try again. In another one of our countless sessions, we found a core boundary, one that would change everything for me. I knew I wanted the chance at getting better, but what I didn't realize is that I needed to go and give myself the chance. Funny thing about chances is that when you take one, the only thing you have really is faith. But when you've tried something and failed, and tried again and failed again, it's easy to assume the same thing is going to continue to happen. What I didn't realize is that when you expect the worst, sometimes you can manifest the outcomes you fear. And I found myself doing this all the time, but this time it would be different. I would take the chance. It's like flipping a coin, for example. Your only real task is to flip the coin, call it in the air, and hope it lands in your favor. In this moment, you're not clouded by doubt, but rather the anticipation that you might get it right. I needed to practice this in the gym. Task at hand, no expectations, just chance. I needed to trust myself and do my best. Bella was going to finish her day knowing that she gave it her all. She took her chance and tried. I practiced this in the gym, and everything changed for me. The gym was now a place I knew I was going to be uncomfortable, and the people I had met at RAPS, my friends and my therapists, were now my mentors, my support group. And Kansas City was now going to represent challenge. And I liked that. 2 weeks later, I'd be at home preparing for my first year at Austin College. I felt ready. Freshman year was my golden year. I had developed a routine and a genuine love for learning again. Sure, I had some days where walking was a little more difficult and carrying the smallest things felt impossible. But pain was no longer an obstacle. It was a motivator to pursue my passions. And I lived every day with the same mindset. Do your best and take the chance. Number 3, you need your people. What I had not anticipated about my freshman year is that it came to a close early. So I packed my bags, shed many tears, and went home. I was stuck. Being at home wasn't the problem. I love my family. But what was hard was being away from the family I had created as this new version of myself. After working really hard to combat every single obstacle that came my way, there was this global pandemic y'all might have heard of. It was hard for me, as I'm sure it was hard for all of us. It was new and it was different. I had been learning to take chances and take risks, and now there was no chance any of us could take. We all know how that went. Luckily, the pandemic did teach me a thing or two. When setbacks happen, you need your people. I needed to be close to my mom, my sisters, my grandparents. I needed to be on Zoom with my friends and extended relatives. I needed that. My family, especially, after the countless mental breakdowns and setbacks, helped me through that. Because when you go through from a period of thriving to a global pandemic, the tiger's gonna come back. And I was overwhelmed, and it was hard. I found myself falling into old habits, and it was difficult for me. My family, especially my mother, is the reason I've been able to keep up. She never forgets to remind me to eat right, exercise, even at times where I forget to do so after long periods of time, and will always push me when I forget to push myself. She's there to remind me just how proud she is that I've made it this far. Thank you, Mom. My sisters, who make me laugh and keep me company when flare-ups happen. My grandparents, who always call and always remind me of what's important, and who never forget to remind me just how special I am. My friends, who help me when I'm away from home. To everyone that makes part of my loving and encouraging village, thank you. If there's anything I'd like for anyone to know, it's this. Healing is hard. Whether you're going through a rough patch, a heartbreak, the realities of a newly diagnosed disability, or you're just not having the best day, what you need to know is this. The most important thing you have in your life is you. So feel at your own pace, heal at your own pace in a way that makes sense to you. Practice empathy and kindness for others. Protect your peace. Hold the ones that you love near and dear to your heart. Accept where you are and take a chance at the person you're becoming. Thank you.